Hi, do you have a toddler or a preschooler? Because I'm popping on live to talk about a mistake that parents of toddlers and preschoolers often make. And if you have a toddler, preschooler, you have a young parent, don't make this mistake. I want you to be sure that you got it down. So, I'm Hunter Clark Fields, Mindful Mama mentor, host of the Mindful Mama podcast, and author of Raising Good Humans. And I want to liken this mistake to a different thing we do. Okay, so many of us, I know many people in the Mindful Mama community want a natural childbirth. That's something that a lot of people are interested in. So let's imagine that you want a natural childbirth. Um, so if you want a natural childbirth, then what you need to do, what the best course of action we know is to invest early on in a doula or a midwife to help you through this process, because the force of our culture and everything is in a different kind of childbirth. But a mistake that people make is say you want a natural childbirth. I'm going to use this as an analogy because it really works very well. If you want a natural childbirth, you don't invest in a midwife or doula. You say, I'm going to read some books. I can DIY this. I got this. And then we go ahead and we try the DIY approach. We don't invest in that doula or midwife right up front, and then we can end up having as we know later on in the process when it's really hard to reverse, a cascade of interventions. And we may not get that natural childbirth that we were looking for. And it's a very similar thing that happens when we are trying to parent in such a way that kind of like goes against the sort of the natural, not the natural, but the society's conditioned orders and threats, the sort of unhealthy way that many of us were raised in an authoritarian kind of society. We don't invest upfront in the parenting help and support we need. And then what happens down the line is we end up with a cascade of interventions for our children that 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 we have to pay for down the line. And so these things, what the problem is that the problems are much easier to fix earlier on. They're much harder to fix later. So when we can, especially with parenting, when we can transform our reactivity, when we can transform the way we communicate earlier on, things get easier and easier and easier. It's really much harder to fix later, and then your child has had a habit of resisting you and all of that. So this is the mistake that we make, that we don't invest in high quality parenting support early on, and then we're dealing with problems later when they're harder to fix. So why do we make this mistake? There's a couple of reasons. And the reasons are that kind of collectively we think that parenting is instinctual. And so the things that we do that we think are kind of instinctual are in fact though are responses that are conditioned by our own parents and our own society. Yeah, we have this collective like misunderstanding, thing that parenting is instinctual, so therefore we don't need to, we're just going to pass down what was come before us. So we don't need to invest in any support and help in that matter. And so that's one of the reasons why we make this mistake. Another reason is simply inertia. You're going, life is busy. It can be hard to take steps that are outside of the usual, to do something new and different. And then the third reason is fear, or fear of stepping outside that comfort zone, right? Like we're in our comfort zone, and growth and learning, like say you have this circle, this is your comfort zone. Growth and learning are by definition outside that comfort zone. So it takes some challenge to go outside your comfort zone. So these are some of the reasons why we don't invest in our values, even if we know that things that may be harder to fix later. So plus we have a real big idea of individualism in our country, and that DIY thing is really held up in very high esteem. But just like with a natural childbirth, getting high quality support really, really matters, makes a huge difference in the outcomes there. And it's also very true with our parenting. So, my question is for you is, are you afraid to ask for help? Are you afraid to get that help? And my call to action for you with this is just to simply join me in the Mindful Mama Tribe Facebook group and let's continue this discussion. Let's talk about those things that prevent us from taking these steps that we know would be right for our family and right for our values and really investing in our values. I hope this has been helpful for you today, and I'm wishing you peace. I'm wishing you the best. And I hope to see you over in that Mindful Mama Tribe Facebook group. Thank you so much. Namaste.